Maintaining the quality of your code bases is a tougher job when you have too many code bases in your project. SonarQube helps us in tracking all these in a common place. Let's see how we can configure SonarQube and bring up a SonarQube instance and push our project stats into Sonar. Let's get started. SonarQube is an open source continuous code quality integration tool with which we can identify code vulnerabilities, the bugs, and the code quality in the code base. So what SonarQube does different is it can track all the repositories at a common place. You can have a profile set in SonarQube, and based on that profile your code bases will be scanned and then your vulnerabilities will be identified. So you can add more profiles or more rules into the profile based on the code or the technology which you have written. For example, for Java you might have a different rule. For JavaScript you have a different rule. You can control all these at a common place, so you don't have to worry about that at the code base level. So you have a central place where you have this configured. All these code bases are just pushing the SonarQube, pushing the analysis into the SonarQube based on the rules which are there in the SonarQube. So that is what SonarQube does, right? Recently what Sonar has done is, if you had used SonarQube like maybe 4 or 5 years back, they did not have a open source version. Basically they did not have an online version. Right now they have an online version. There is an option called use online. If you click on that, it goes to sonarcloud.io, where you can have your open source project configured for free, literally for free, and you can publish your stats into that particular Sonar instance. So previously they did not have it, but right now they are providing their SonarQube instance for us, so we don't have to worry about managing the Sonar in our infrastructure. So if you are working on any open source projects, you can rely on these Sonar Cloud for free because they are providing it for free. The only thing is your code base is out open. Anyway, if you are having a Sonar open source project, you are going to have it open, right? So you can use Sonar Cloud in that case, where you can publish your project. So if you notice here, these are different projects published by different open source contributors across the world, where they have their projects configured and they check how much is the coverage of the project, how reliable their product is and stuff like that. For example, let's search for a Java language project, right? So for example 3.3k projects are there literally. So if you notice here, let's pick up a failed one, right? So we can go to the Sonar instance, and this is exactly the Sonar instance which we will be configuring now locally, but the one which we see right now, it is in the cloud. So you can drill down the bugs. So if you see here, there are 3 bugs. You can drill down to this particular file and see what is that, which is the line which is causing this particular bug. And if you notice here, you can see this file, see this, right? This is a bug. It is make bugger transient or serializable. So these are just bug tracking tool which is available online, the SoundCloud, right? So let's go and configure this locally. So click on the download button. When you click on the download button, you have 2 different versions of the SonarQube, 5.6.6 and 6.5. I tried using the 6.5 version, but there is some bug which is out there which is open, which got recently introduced, and I think Sonar team is working on that, so I am not showing the demo with the 6.5 version. So I'm going to use the 5.6.6 version. So I have downloaded this and kept it in the users Apple download SonarQube 5.6.6. yeah, so this is where the version is, right? So this is the folder structure for the SonarQube 5.6.6, right? So you have a conf folder where you have 2 files, the wrapper conf, which is the JVM arguments for your Sonar instance, and also the sonar.properties. So sonar.properties has the port information and the database information with which the SonarQube can connect to. So as you know, since I was telling that SonarQube can collect information from different code bases, these can be stored in memory, these can be stored in the database. So you can configure that here. So the properties for that is all here. So you can notice that you can use JDBC, you can use the MySQL database, or you can use any other SQL server and stuff like that. And you can configure the ports here as well, the port number. So by default the SonarQube runs in the port 9000. Okay, so I'm going to bring up SonarQube locally in my laptop. So we are in the conf folder, right? So we have the folder called bin. Inside bin you have different versions of the Sonar in the same package. So right now, since I am having a Mac version of the laptop, so I'm going to use the Mac Universal 64. If you are having Windows, you can use Windows X 80, 86, 64 or 32 based on the 32-bit or the 64-bit version of your OS, right? So I'm having Mac OS X 64-bit. So you need to run the sonar.sh. So I'm going to run the sonar.sh. You can either use start, stop, or restart. I'm going to use start so that the Sonar instance get kicked in, right? So if you notice here, the Sonar is getting initiated. Let's go through the URL, right? So the place where the Sonar instance is hosted is 9000 port. So let's give few seconds for SonarQube to come up, right? It's just taking a while to come up. Meanwhile, what we can do is we can open our IntelliJ so that we can write some piece of code so that we can use it to scan, right? So for example, I have already created a small Maven project. Okay, it's just a simple Maven project. The only difference between this project and the typical Maven integration is I have added two things here. So I have added a plugin here, right? So I have added a plugin called Maven Sonar plugin. So the group ID for that is org sonar source.scanner.maven. The artifact ID is Sonar Maven plugin, and the version is 3.3.0.603. Okay, this is the only thing which I have added. I have not added anything else. It's just the JUnit dependencies, nothing else. So these are not even required. So, and there is a Maven compiler plugin which is like by default you will have to have it. And these repositories are just the Maven repositories which I have. I just added it so that I can show it with the Jenkins upload. So that as a part of Jenkins, how can we upload the Sonar stats into the SonarQube, which I can show it in the next video. But for this particular video, I'll just show how to upload these results into the SonarQube, right? So I'm going to give a project group ID name, right? I'm going to just change it so that we can use it for our reference. So I'm going to use SonarQube dot, let's say primers sonar. Okay, and our group ID will be sonar example. So this is what I'm going to change, right? It's going to be jar, and I have some let me remove this file. It's a dummy file which I used. Okay, so this is the Java class which I have. Let me add some more stuff here. Let me add some class. Right, I have added some stuff here. Okay, and also let me add some method. Added a constructor. Right, also I'll add something like in number equal to 10 if number equal to 0. Okay, see some of the vulnerabilities even IntelliJ can identify. If you notice, the IntelliJ is highlighting some of these, right? So I'm assigning the variable which I have got here, and I'm checking it for 0, which is always false. So these kind of things the same way here, system.out.println. So all these are like errors or vulnerabilities. And if you see in SonarLint has already identified these. In the previous video we saw what is SonarLint, right? So this is going to do the same thing which SonarQube is going to do. Okay, so which is now giving us in IntelliJ itself. But however, if you want to push this into the SonarQube, what we have to do is we have to run this task called sonar:sonar. So once we added this particular plugin, right, the Sonar Maven plugin, this particular plugin, once we add this plugin in your Maven, you have a new task called Sonar. So if you run this particular task, this is going to do the normal Maven clean install. So let me do a Maven clean install along with this, right? So I'll just select these. So I'm going to run these, right? I think I have to go here. So let me run a Maven clean and install first, so that we know our tests are run and stuff like that, right? So I have some test also. It's not doing anything, but just that there is a test. So let this run, and then we can run the Sonar task. Right, the build is successful, as you see here. So I'm just running the Sonar. Now let's see what is happening in the code. Right. I'm not able to extend it. I don't know. So if you notice here, there are some logs which are saying that the Sonar is getting run. So see this, right? This is the task, in the plugin. So Sonar Maven plugin and Sonar is the task. It is now going through our code bases. It is all loading some plugins. It is all getting some rules. So if you notice here, it has identified that our SonarQube version is 5.6.6. This is because by default the Sonar Maven plugin uses the localhost 9000 port to check what is the Sonar instance. If our Sonar instance is down, right, this would have failed, because it is retrieving this version at the runtime. So at this particular time, it is just querying and getting the version number, right? If you want to configure that, you can add it in the POM XML. You can configure what is the URL of your Sonar instance. So if you have an external Sonar hosted somewhere outside, you can do that. So for example, the Sonar Cloud, right? If you're using Sonar Cloud, then you can configure that particular version with the URL of the Sonar Cloud, right? And also it has identified where is our working directory, where is our base directory. It is going through all the files, it is scanning, and it has generated some code coverage report and all those stuff. So it is saying there is only one file. It has analyzed, and finally it is all uploading the results to this particular location, right? This is the URL where it has uploaded. So let's go to the dashboard, and this is the same URL as the dashboard. Let's go to the dashboard and see, right? So let me refresh the dashboard. If you notice here, this particular project name we had given as test. I think that is why it is showing as test. And if you notice inside, it shows up the name of the project. So if I go to measures, right? Yeah, it's almost the same thing. So here what you can see is, you can see the different stats which are out there. There are 5 issues. So let's go to the issues. If I go to the issue, it shows the file which are having issues. So the first issue is in this particular line. What is the issue? It says replace this usage of system.out or system.out by a logger. So Sonar is saying that, okay, don't use system.out and println anywhere, use loggers to log that. Next one is remove this private unused test variable, right? So IntelliJ also suggested this, but Sonar also does that, and this is a major violation. Next one is again the introduction of new variable instead of reusing the variable. So yeah, so instead of reusing the parameter variable, right, whatever we have here, create a new variable. That's what this says. And also this statement will never get hit, right? Replace this usage. I think that's Sonar couldn't notify, but if you notice, this is the same error which we got for the system.out here, right? So this is how Sonar can identify bugs, and then you can go to the single place. For example, if you see here, I have different projects configured, and all these results are pushed here, and this is our project, right? It can also identify, see, it shows how much time does it take to fix these bugs, right? It says 32 minutes. It just comes up with a number, right, based on the number of violations which we have. How much time does it take? And it also shows the lines of code. If you see here, this is a Java project and the lines of code are 19. It shows up for every project as well, right? You can configure all these rules. I was mentioning, right, there are some rules. You can configure those rules in the place called rules here. So these are the different rules which are available for each language. So for example, Java, if you click on Java, these are the different rules which are out there. You can go and enable or disable this rule, or you can change this as a blocker, or you can identify what you can modify from here, right? So this is the rule. So you can create a rule and then upload these rules into the SonarQube, or you can control them here in the rule section itself. You can have different profiles, so you can have different profiles. For example, see this, right? These are different profiles, so these are different profiles which you can create. So for example, I created a test profile. You can have your own bugs or the rules which are available there. By default, Sonar has 254 active rules, 75 bugs, 20 vulnerability, and 159 code smells. You can activate or deactivate them based on your requirement in your firm. So that is what most of the firm does. There could be some coding practices inside some firm, there could be none in some firm. So depending on their availability or the preference, they can configure that in the SonarQube. And if you want to locally run your Sonar, you can better use Sonar Lint, like how I showed, right? You can use Sonar Lint if you want to check your quality of the code before even proceeding to commit anything onto your repository. You can use Sonar Lint. This is pretty good in terms of identifying how your code smells, right? So that is how you can use SonarQube, and this is how you configure SonarQube. And we saw how to push as well. So you have to use the plugin Maven Sonar plugin, Sonar Maven plugin. That's it, nothing else. You don't have to do anything else. If you have your external Sonar instance, you can configure that. The configuration information is available in the documentation here. So if I go to the community and I say documentation, so the documentation is pretty good, and if you search for anything in the internet, you can find out. So see this, right? You have different plugins. See, for example, this analyzing the whatever I showed you, it's all there here. So you can use this particular profile option to configure the Sonar port number, the URL and port number. So for example, see this, right? This is the settings.xml which you can configure in your Maven, so that you can configure the Sonar host there directly with the port number. You don't have to worry about that in your code base. So if you have a common Maven, configure that in your Maven. So let's say you are using Maven in your Jenkins host. In that Jenkins host Maven, you can configure this particular host so that it is used for all the projects in your Jenkins host, right? And same way, this is how the run the task. So we just ran it using IntelliJ, right? The Sonar Code and Sonar. This is nothing but the command line option for the same, right? If you want to exclude some files from the Sonar analysis, you can set these properties called sonar.exclusion, and you can provide those folder structures, all the packages. Sonar will exclude them from their analysis, right? And this is the same plugin which we saw, right? So that is it. What else do I need to show? I think that is what I wanted to show. Just thinking if there is anything. So let's see. There is no code coverage which is shown up right now, right? Sorry. So there is no code coverage which is shown up right now in our stat. So if you see in the stat, there is no code coverage which shows up, right? It is not showing the lines covered in the file. It's just showing the bugs. It is not showing how many lines are covered, right, in the test case. So what we can do is we can use the JaCoCo plugin, so Java code coverage plugin, to configure that as well. So you just need to add one more plugin. That's it. Apart from that, you don't have to do anything. So let's go and add that, right? So where is that plugin? So yeah, it is the JaCoCo Maven plugin. Let's get the dependencies added. So I don't know where they have mentioned that here. Hopefully if they have it in the wiki, we can get it, or I will have to get it from the internet. So let me check. Right, they have it here. Let's use 0.7.9, right? right? So let's import this. Once you import it, you see there is an option called JaCoCo now. So once you included the JaCoCo plugin, you can see a JaCoCo option. Now, in order to publish these code coverage reports onto Sonar, what we have to do is we have to run this JaCoCo plugin as well, right? So I'm just going to say prepare agent, and also there are some options to generate the report out there. I don't know if I can show that right now, but let me see if I can at least get the report running, right? Yeah, if I click on this report, what this does is it generates a report out of your code base, right? Skipping JaCoCo due to machine execution data file. So that means there is no file which got generated. So what we can do is we can just do a Maven. You can run these reports along with your Sonar, right? So I'm going to run these Maven clean install, clean, and then prepare agent, finally Sonar, right? I'm going to run these. So let's see what happens. So the delete failed because something is stuck. Why is it stuck? Did we do anything in the command prompt? Nothing, right? I think install is not working because the package for the project did not assign a file to the build artifact. So let's do clean install separately to be and then I'll show you the JaCoCo report, JaCoCo prepare agent, and the Sonar. So that is the task, right, which they have given here. Let me check where is the documentation. Yeah, Maven clean JaCoCo install. Yeah, that is the one, right? So let's just run that next, right? So if you notice here, I am running the SonarQube and the JaCoCo report. So what happens here is the JaCoCo Maven plugin first gets triggered and it generates the files, the JaCoCo files, and those JaCoCo files are uploaded to Sonar. Okay, those JaCoCo files have the information about the code quality. If you notice here, these two lines are the ones which will get our files, right? So let's see if these files got created, right, in the target folder. Nope, they don't have them here. So looks like the JaCoCo plugin is not creating those files. So let's see, let's run these report generation, right? I don't know if report generates it or prepare agent does it. I'm not sure why that is not generated. See, it says skipping the report. I don't know why. Maybe do we have to use a different version? It says agent binary incompatible with account analyzer, so we can change binary reports starting from Java. Okay, let's use the older version. If I'm not sure if that is going to create an issue, but okay, let's run this separately so that we will have something. So let the prepare agent script run. This should generate our Sonar file, but why are we inside target? Let me know, I need to go outside, right? So this should generate the JaCoCo.exec file, and then that should be uploaded to Sonar. So let's generate this. So I'm not sure if it will get generated because even I am running it for the first time here in my laptop. So the compilation started, compilation succeeded, ShareFile plugin started. right? Okay, it says successful. So let's go to the target folder and see if the JaCoCo.exec got created. Yep, the JaCoCo.exec got created. So this is the file used by the Sonar task. So let's run that Sonar task, right? So when you run the Sonar, the Sonar Maven plugin, it automatically identifies the JaCoCo.exec file and it uploads that into the Sonar Qube instance. So that way we can identify the code coverage per line. So if you write some test cases, it can see line by line coverage of the file. So yep, see this, right? It has analyzed these two files and it should be available in our Sonar Qube instance. Let's refresh this page. It should show up the coverage as well. Yep, it is showing up. See this, right? Not covered by unit test. So this is the coverage. It shows 0% coverage. Let's write one quick test to check if the coverage is working, right? So what I will do is sorry. I'll just write a quick test. I think we need the JNet plugin. The dependency, there is no dependency right now, right? We have the Java dependency, then why is it not coming? Scope is test, but we already have a test case here. Okay, fine, we have some test case here. Let's write some test inside this test case. So what I'm doing there is I'm just creating a new instance of app. Okay, I'm going to create a method called show. Sorry. Nothing else. So where is the other test file which you created? Definitely test file. Okay, just for identifying the code coverage whether it is getting detected, I just wrote a small test which is just creating the app and then it is just triggering the app.show method which we just wrote now. Okay, I'm just going to run the same stuff here. I'm going to run the Maven clean package with the JaCoCo plugin, which is nothing but Java code coverage Maven plugin. This will run the JaCoCo plugin, which will create a JaCoCo file, and that file needs to be uploaded to Sonar, right? So that is what we are going to do here. So initially, as a part of the Maven task, we can run this. In fact, we can club them together, but I just prefer running it separately so that we can see if there's a bit failure, right? Okay, so the JaCoCo generation got completed. Now let's run the Sonar upload. So this will now upload the it will just create the Sonar stats and then upload into the Sonar Qube instance. So that is what is happening right now. So once this is uploaded, we should be able to see the code coverage again, which we saw similar way, right? So let me refresh this file. Yep, if you notice here, the code coverage is green for this particular function because we wrote a test case for it. So the Sonar says, okay, this particular piece of method or the line is covered already by unit test cases, but the rest all are not covered, right? That is what you can see from SonarQube. So this is pretty good when you have lots of projects. You can go through the projects, you can see this, right? There are 7 code smells and you can see the code coverage as well. So if you see here, the coverage is 21%. So, and how many unit tests are there? There is only 1 unit test, right? And if you add new code, it automatically shows how much is the coverage. So these are just the diffs which are there here, right? So this is how you use SonarQube to configure your project. This is how you can run it. You can set it up locally. If you want to try out SonarQube, you can set it up locally. Give it a try. It is pretty useful for identifying the code smells in your code. And if you want to get a quick result, you can use Sonar Lint from IntelliJ. So I have just made another video on that. You can check that, right? So that's it for this particular video. Hope you guys understood and got it useful. Meet you again in the next video. Thank you very much.